The Celtics are 4-0. Their offense looks better than last season. Their defense looks better than last season. Tatum has a better shot. They're coming off a 119-108 beatdown over the Milwaukee Bucks, which was Milwaukee leading in the second half, and the Celtics ran away with it in the second. Tatum only had 15 points, but Jaylen Brown with 30 points. And 0 for 4 from 3, but then Payton Pritchard off the bench, 28, 8 of 12 shooting. Dude, the depth of this team. Do you see, and I ask this, who can beat the Celtics? We have to talk about it like this, Jahmai. Who beats the Celtics in a 7-game series? It took us 4 games to talk about the playoffs with the Celtics. Who do you see that can beat the Celtics? Because it's impossible, man. After how good they were last year, they look better this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard to find somebody to match the Celtics. Obviously, they are coming off the championship, so I look at them as the front runners to be in a position to repeat. But it's very hard. Mm-hmm. It's not easy to go back-to-back, let alone three-peat in the NFL, as we were just talking about. But, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to nitpick a championship. But if I am, it certainly wasn't a murderous row, their road to Banner 18. And they took on a 5th seed in the NBA Finals, which is Dallas Mavericks. Granted, all those teams got there. There wasn't exactly a healthy Eastern Conference. They had a lot of teams that were fighting off pieces. I mean, the Indiana series, for one, that was one that comes to mind where they had a lot of healthy pieces that were now sitting out that changed the course of that series potentially. But, the Celtics did get the championship. They did get it done. Yeah. And you talked about it. Jayson Tatum, just 15 points in that game. He shot 6 for 16. And they still got a victory, and they did it handily against a Milwaukee Bucks team that is probably going to challenge them for the East in some ways, because Damian Lillard looked like a man who was back to the Damian Lillard of Portland that we used to seeing. He was involved, he was engaged, and he was attacking. So that's something that could be scary as they go on and they get Chris Middleton back. But they're also doing this without Kristaps Porzingis, which, he was the original unicorn, which is crazy because you wonder what his addition is going to do and how much that's going to elevate this team even more, which is scary to me. But I feel like I'm always I don't want to, just like, the World Series, Dodgers up 3-0, but I'm not ready to, say, yeah, we got this in the bag. I just want to be a little bit cautious because it's a long season and it's only 4 games in. We got 78 to go, so we'll see what happens. But, I mean, right now, the Celtics are looking like world beaters, man.
Right? It's just they're humming. And what you said at the end, they don't even have Kristaps Porzingis yet, who could defend 1 through 5 and on the perimeter. How good they're shooting. Jayson Tatum finding that hitch in his shot that he had to fix, and he's just coming out looking even better of a scorer he was than before, which is scary. What's nuts, Jahmai, is you go on FanDuel, and there are odds 20-1 for the Celtics to win 70 or more games. It's only happened twice in the history of the NBA, and the odds are only 20-1 for them to win 70 or more games. Like, that says a lot.
I'm going to take that bet.
Right? Well, why wouldn't you? And like, even I look at their schedule, maybe they lose to the Warriors, but the Warriors aren't the Warriors. Like, they're not that same team.
They aren't.
They could easily get off to an 11-0, 12-0, 14-0 start, and I wouldn't be shocked. And it's just like they're going to put these streaks together, get that random L where someone catches up, where they catch a team where that team is scorching hot and maybe they're off. But the perimeter defense, it's top 4 in the NBA on threes made per game by the opposition. Like, that says how good they are doing on the outside. And they're coming out making almost 22 a night. Like, they're plus 36 the second they step in the gym, basically, on the point differential because of how well they're shooting the 3-ball and the depth and the defense. And you know what gets me, Jahmai, which like boggles my mind, but it makes sense? They got that ring. How often, and you've been in Boston longer than me, Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum have heard of they're not mature enough, that Brad Stevens has heard he has to blow it up, the Gordon Haywards, the Kyrie Irvings that didn't work out. All the times you're like, this team is not there. We don't trust them. And they broke through. There's no pressure. And they brought the whole core back. Like, there's no pressure. And that's what makes it nuts. I'm with you. Like, that 20-1, I'm taking that because we'd be dumb not to. We really would. And that's insane to say about any team. That's what's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they've had better teams, at least on paper, it seems like, but this team has been able to get it done in ways that those teams obviously fell short of. And, making it to the Eastern Conference Finals, they did make it there. They made it to the NBA Finals where they lost to the Warriors.
Yeah.
And that was kind of one of their first tastes that got them defeated and made them hungry to kind of get it together, and also gave those young players like Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, the experience to know what it takes to get over the top. But we haven't seen this Pacers team play to their capabilities to this point. But again, we're just a handful of games in. But
Yeah.
I feel like this could be a trap game, maybe going to Indiana. I mean, Tyrese Halliburton is, he was one of those players who was injured last postseason, and he was out of the series, and he was a game changer. I mean, this guy's making $42 million. So you expect him to, come up and be big, especially against this team. But we'll see what happens. But you're talking about the schedule, so it got me looking ahead a little bit, and I feel like maybe that could be one where they fall short.
Right, that's the one that jumps out to me as well. And especially as they start that road trip, but this team's just locked in. And what Joe Mazzulla does great, where I was hypercritical of him in game, timeouts, everything, But he has them showing up. He had them show up for 82 games, and then he had them show up all throughout the playoffs and finals. And he had them show up night one against New York, literally picked up where they left off, where you're expecting there to be rust. And, teams, especially one of their caliber, man, we don't need the first month of the season. We don't need the first 2 months. We know what matters. Let's just get to the playoffs. No. The fact that Joe Mazzulla has them showing up in the most meaningless games of the regular season, because when you play 82, the first 5 are going to be pretty meaningless, just no matter the opponent. Yeah. But to win the way they are, especially against the Knicks and the Bucks, 2 teams outside of the 76ers that should be their biggest threats in the East, it's just what they do defensively, how they're taking guys out of their comfort zone, like what they did to Brook Lopez, and how they know that they can live with Giannis taking certain shots, because they could just get on the other end. It is mind-boggling to me what they do, and it's because the head coach is locked in, the front office is locked in, and they're not done adding either, Jahmai. The Celtics team we see now, they're going to get Kristaps Porzingis at a certain point, and then they're going to do something at the trade deadline, because they know with this second apron coming, with the new CBA, the tax is real. The luxury tax is real. Mm-hmm. This is the last time of this core to get this ring. They're going to go all in before the fines get real and the taxes get real. And they simply can't pay to keep this team together. But until then, instead of getting ahead of it because they got a ring, they're saying, let's get one more and then we'll figure it out from there, which I respect from Stevens on down all the way to what this team is and the entire coaching staff for Joe Mazzulla.
Yeah, I mean, I look at what some of these guys are making, and I'm like, how are they putting together a roster where dudes are making $30, $40, $50 million and having this talented core? Obviously, they're locked into long-term contracts, which helps it. It's not like they got to try to spend new money every year, but I could see the Celtics add in a piece later because, I felt like they have their core. Obviously, the starting 5 is what it is, and you're going to add Kristaps. He could be kind of that piece later whenever he's back in there. But this is a good roster, and they're obviously the team that everybody's chasing right now.
They, I did look it up. I tried to put on my best accountant hat, Jahmai. With that second apron coming down, basically teams are taxed $1.50 to $4.50 every dollar. There are over $190 million payroll. Celtics are at $203 million. They're $13 million over. They're paying $19.5 million just to put a team on the floor. That's how they're doing it. They're paying, and then if there's a repeater tax, that's an additional $58 million on top of that $19 million. Just think about that. They're paying $78 million at a certain point just to put a team on the floor. I don't know how much longer they can do it, man. But if they do it for one more season and they repeat, I'm gonna love it. It's gonna be sick to see.
Yeah, it is. And got Drew Holiday making $30 million. He's obviously a big piece to what they're doing.
One of the all-time greats.
Yeah, I actually covered him in high school, which is crazy, man, to see where he's at now. That's nuts.
He's an LA guy?
He is. Went to Campbell Hall, this school in Los Angeles, and he won Gatorade Player of the Year. And I was interning at the CBS in Los Angeles. Uh-huh. They sent me there at lunchtime, and they had this whole big thing, and I interviewed him, which is crazy to think about now. He's obviously a father, married, got all these kids, and has made this fantastic career now. To see it is pretty incredible, and got a great family, too. Brothers are awesome as well. Yeah,
I heard, and I covered him when he was in Milwaukee when he got his first ring. Mm-hmm. And everything you hear about Drew Holiday, everything's true. Just like, as I said with Dwayne Wade, class act gentleman, that's Drew Holiday.